Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle something that's absolutely crucial, but often really confusing for anyone wanting to move to Australia. We're talking about the visa health requirement. It doesn't matter if you're coming to study, to work, or to start a new life. This is one hurdle almost everyone has to clear. So, let's jump right in and figure out what it's all about.
So, let's say you've got your heart set on Australia. You're probably busy gathering all your documents, filling out what feels like a mountain of paperwork, and getting everything lined up for your application. It's an exciting process for sure, but there's a really key step that pretty much everyone goes through.
And yeah, that hurdle is the official health requirement. Now, it's a standard part of the visa process, and it's there for a reason, but for so many applicants, it just feels like a complete black box. You don't know what they're looking for or why. So let's crack that box open and start with the most basic question of all. Why does this rule even exist in the first place?
To really get how this all works, we first need to understand the why behind it. I mean, this isn't just about ticking boxes on a form. It's a policy that's tied directly to Australia's identity and its values as a country.
You know, the Australian government is super clear about where they're coming from on this. This single idea, this quote right here, is the foundation for the entire policy. The country has these world-class health standards, and the main goal is to protect them for everyone who already lives there.
So the official reasoning really breaks down into these three key areas. First, it's about protecting the community from public health risks, things like active TB. Second, it's about managing government spending on Social Security. And third, and this one is a really big deal, it's about making sure that essential health services that are already in short supply, like, say, organ transplants, are available for Australian citizens and permanent residents.
Okay, so that's the why from the government side. But what does meeting the health requirement actually mean for you as the person applying? What are they specifically looking for?
Well, it all comes down to a very specific definition. At the end of the day, an assessment is made to see if an applicant has any kind of condition that could create a major burden on Australia's health system. And that burden can be measured in one of two ways.
And here are those two main barriers. On one side, you have significant cost. This is all about the potential long-term expense a condition could create for the public system. Then on the other side, you have prejudicing access. This is about using up resources that are already scarce. So you see, it's not just about the money, it's also about the capacity of the healthcare system itself.
So how in the world do officials figure out if a condition might cross one of those lines? Well, it's not as simple as just getting a quick checkup. There's a really formal assessment process that they have to follow.
The path pretty much looks like this. First, as part of your application, you'll probably have to get some specific health exams done. Then, your results get sent to a specialist known as a medical officer of the Commonwealth, or MOC for short. And finally, that MOC gives their expert medical opinion to the Department of Home Affairs, and it's a department that makes the final decision on your visa.
All right, now this is where the process gets really interesting, and honestly, it's something that catches a lot of people off guard. The MOC doesn't actually assess you as an individual person. Instead, they assess your condition by thinking about a hypothetical person who has the same illness. The idea is to make the process standard for everyone, but as you can imagine, this has some huge implications.
And that whole hypothetical person thing, well, it leads us directly to the single most misunderstood part of this entire assessment. What the medical officer is, and more importantly, is not allowed to think about when they make their decision.
Okay, this slide is absolutely key. This is the rule that trips a lot of people up. The MOC's assessment is strictly focused on the medical facts, the condition, its severity, and the potential costs to public services. What they are legally forbidden from considering is everything on the right side of this screen: your personal wealth, your ability to pay for your own care, or even whether you have the best private health insurance in the world. It just doesn't factor in at all.
So, if you take one thing away today, let it be this. The decision is completely stripped of your personal situation. It's a pure calculation based on the medical condition itself and the potential strain on public resources. That's it.
And you know, this whole thing really leaves us with a much bigger question, doesn't it? This policy shines a bright light on a fundamental tension that every country has to deal with. How do you balance the health and resources of the entire community against the hopes and dreams of one individual? There are no easy answers here, but it's a question that sits right at the very heart of Australia's immigration policy.